Now there's one more idea that Aquinas wants us to buy into before we can finish this argument. And here's how the idea works. All right? Let's look at a cup of coffee. If you have a cup of coffee, like this one, all right? This one's very cold right now. That's gross. If I wanted to heat this up, I would have to go get some hot coffee and pour it in here, all right? Pouring hot coffee, and here's how I like to do it. I like to take a tiny bit of milk, pour it in here, so that as I pour in the rest of the coffee, the milk like mixes evenly with the coffee. I'm not sure if that's how physics works, but that's how my brain works, so that's how I do it. So if you're going to put hot coffee into cold milk, the hottest that milk can get is just as hot as the coffee. And it's not really going to get just as hot because it's going to cool down the coffee just a little bit. The hottest that the coffee can get, that the cup can get, the hottest that the milk and coffee together can be, has an upper bound. And the upper bound of that hotness is based on how hot the coffee is. If the coffee is 300 degrees, right, then this cup is going to be 300 degrees or less. Definitely a little less. Okay? All right. Let's think about this example of this triangle here. Take a look at the triangle on your screen in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm actually in the way of that. Let me move out of your way here. Okay, we've got two triangles, right? I drew the one on the left. The ideal that I'm working toward, the high abstract ideal of a perfect triangle. That's what I'm trying to draw. I'm falling short because I'm human and I have these tiny little micro movements. It's not a perfect triangle, right? Even the one to the right is not a perfect triangle because it's made up of pixels, right? So it's not solid, right? We can imagine tiny little flaws or bumps. If we were to zoom in really close on the shape, I'm sure that the lines aren't perfectly straight. So there's even a more abstract idea of a triangle. There's the most triangulate, the awesome triangle of triangleness. Wow. I'm picturing my students right now at home watching this video being like, what are we even talking about? Triangleness of triangles. Hey. All right, let's take a little break. Pause. So Mr. Red was just talking about the triangularness of triangles and he lost me and I'm bored. So good time to pause, go to the survey, fill out what it is that you've already learned, and then come back to this video. Pause break. Did you actually pause the screen? Because pause break. And we're back. So here's the deal. We have different ideals. There's an ideal swimming. There's an ideal triangle. We work toward those ideals when we're trying to make improvements, when we're trying to climb that hierarchy. We are striving toward what's at the top of the pyramid. Each step we take, each little improvement in the stroke, right? Each slightly better version of the triangle that I draw starts to embody more and more of the abstract idea of what a perfect triangle is, of what a perfect stroke is. That's what Aquinas is getting at when he says that only the maximum in a given category, that's that uttermost imaginary case, only the maximum of perfection can cause other things in that category to participate in, to exemplify its perfection. So it's that abstract idea that we're striving toward that causes all of the subsequent improvements that we're able to make, because we're taking a tiny step toward that imaginary ideal. Okay, let's start this argument again from the beginning. Go down in order. Premise number 1. Some things are better or worse than others. Premise number 2. Ranking things accurately requires reference to the uttermost case. Number 3. Only the maximum in a given category can cause the other things in that category. conclusion. Aquinas says the perfections of all things, goodness, being, or existence at all, any good thing about a thing, must be caused by some most perfect, ideal version of that being. And this we call God. In other words, if you took the goodnesses of all the goodnesses, right, and you said, what are all of these goodnesses in reference to? In other words, where does the perfection of this and this peak and this peak? I'm talking about the peaks at the top of a whole bunch of different pyramids. The peak triangle, there's a certain kind of goodness. The perfect belly button. The most hot coffee, right? All of these imaginary ideals, what do they all point to? Well, you could gather all of those points up and start arranging them according to which of those is the best, right? But what's at the top of that one? What's at the top of the top? Aquinas says the top of the top is God. And it would have to be God, because that goodness has to be the cause of every other shadow of goodness that falls into all of these other hierarchies and pyramids. It's the pyramid of pyramids, and God is at the top. This is the idea that Anselm was talking about when he said that God is that than which nothing greater can be thought. God is at the top of the top. And if you think of something better than God, then you weren't thinking of God in the first place, because God is that better thing. Oh wait, but I can think of something better than that. Whoops, this wasn't God, this is God. And actually our mind is never going to be able to do it, because our brains aren't good enough. Human brains can't do it. So, God is that than which nothing greater can be thought. It's just, can't think of anything greater. God is whatever that is, and my brain can't even hold that. So there you have it, Aquinas' fourth argument. And I'll see you soon.